Hello everyone, in this video I'll share with you some tips in order to improve the writing of your legal essays. This video is gonna help you if you already write your legal essays in English, but also if you would like to start writing them in that language. For this video I will use some specific sections of the essays, but if you would like to read it all, I'll leave a link in the description. It all started because I really like to participate in essay competitions to see where the level of my legal writing is, and recently I submitted one that had really positive feedback from the jury. So let's go. Okay, so the first step will be to use a roadmap. What do I mean by this? Something like this. You need all of these chapters and sub-chapters in order, and you have to craft it before you even start to write your paper. I know that it's very kind of easy way and a shortcut to start just writing and then putting all your thoughts and your sentences together, but it is not persuasive and it will not be read easily by your readers. I have done that when I was starting out. It doesn't work. I think this is the heavy lifting of the article actually, to have this roadmap and your index really structured before even starting to write. If you do that, you will be able to write in order, write short and straight to the point, kind of a story that will go from the beginning, that is your introduction, until the end, that will be your conclusion. The topic of this paper was about adaptation of contracts basically, and the two first points that I had to address was force majeure and hardship. Force majeure, hardship, and then I had to explain 1 and 2. After that, I had to explain how the UNIDROIT principles can help parties during the pandemic. So I divided that into chapters. This before the parties had knowledge of the pandemic, and after they had knowledge of the pandemic, so A, B. Then I went to turning to adjudicators, because this is another section. Contract interpretation, where negotiations fail or are conducted incorrectly, and then gap filling the applicable law. And then the UNIDROIT as a guide to legislators. All of this took me a while, but then after I was done with it, it was pretty easy to write the article with all the research that I did. This is the second point that I want to talk about, which is research all that you can about the topic. Use different sources such as books, articles, webinars. When I'm going to write about a topic, I really like to tackle it from different angles, so I have a broad perspective from professors, practitioners, to have the balance between theory and the practice of the topic, so I can have my own opinion, and an opinion that is going to be useful for the reader, going to make sense, and it's going to be perfectly aligned to my title or my topic. I really like to get kind of into the zone, and for what I like to watch webinars, videos, read a lot, so I can really learn while I'm investigating, and also I can put all of that knowledge that I have acquired with my own point of view then into the paper. So the third point will be to write short sentences. I think it's really useful to write short sentences, especially in English, so the reader can read by parts and smoothly, connecting the dots of your paragraphs, and in that order get the idea. Instead of reading a long sentence that once the person is done with the sentence, the idea can just go away. So short sentences can really help you to acquire the attention needed and the preciseness that you require to be a good communicator to your readers. For example, here my introduction was about COVID-19 and its impact on the international contracts. So I wrote, the world stopped because of the disease, COVID-19. So the way you read it and the way that dot is there really helps you to get the idea. Okay, COVID-19 disease stopped the world. Now I want to know more. This disease and the measures to contain its spread, the pandemic, has caused both individuals and companies to dramatically alter their normal operations. On 11 March 2020, the World Health Organization declared it a pandemic. It was official. COVID-19 had infected nearly the entire world. As you can see, the dots can really help you to
Bring your message really clear, succinct, and straight to the point to the reader. If I have written really long sentences, maybe this idea will not go as succinct as I want it to be. So that's the point of short sentences. Please do it and it will make your essays really good. To announce the points that you are going to address. Here is the last part of the introduction, the last paragraph. So here, as you can see, it's a long paragraph because I am announcing all the sections that I'm going to write and what I'm going to say with each section. But this structure is really good and really useful for the reader to know what you are going to address. So in this regard, section 1 provides a brief explanation of force majeure and hardship in the UNIDROIT principles. Section 2 analyzes the usefulness of the UNIDROIT principles to parties' contracts. And then I will announce what I argue there. I argue that parties will find the remedies provided in the force majeure and hardship provisions of the UNIDROIT principles useful. I put these lines in red and green so you can see section 1, I just provide an explanation. I don't give my point of view in there. Section 2, I provide my point of view there. I argue. So the person can go straight to the point that I am personally making in order for it to know what I'm going to say. Section 3, I argue again, which is that I'm going to make 2 points of my own, and then section 4, and then I argue. So this is the structure that I want you to have at the end of your introduction, so it's really clear to the reader what you are going to talk about in your essay. Believe me, this is really useful, and this is kind of a super tip that I'm giving you for you to have good introductions. Connect all the sections in that conclusion. This was my conclusion. Even though the pandemic found the international health system unprepared, this crisis found the international commercial contracts regulations duly prepared, in part because of the UNIDROIT principles. So here you can see that I'm having a small summary of my first point, which was the usefulness of the UNIDROIT principles. And then I have a summary of the points that I made in the second chapter, where I say the UNIDROIT principles will provide guidance for parties who executed contracts before the pandemic and now face a completely different reality. The UNIDROIT principles may also be used as a model for contracts that were executed during and after the pandemic. Again, short sentences, really useful. And here I cover most of my paper with those little sentences that summarize the things that I said before. Moreover, the UNIDROIT principles will be useful for adjudicators to decide international disputes by applying state-of-the-art principles regarding interpretation of clauses and remedies in a force majeure or a hardship situation. And then, at the end, my last paragraph was, in conclusion, the UNIDROIT principles constitutes a remedy that parties, adjudicators, and legislators may apply to maintain the health, uniformity, predictability, and certainty of business relationships during these uncertain times. This last paragraph, I use these magic words or keywords if you want, which are health, I address it in the introduction, uniformity, which I address it in one of the chapters of my paper, predictability and certainty of business relationships, which I also addressed in my paper during these uncertain times. So this last paragraph connects all the dots and leads the way for the reader to have a conclusion with me. I'm taking the hand of the reader so he can see the same landscape and the same final point of my paper with me at the end. You have to take small steps. You have to read a lot of good essays and start writing them so you can improve your technique. It's something that is a craft. It's learned by doing it. You can read a lot, but you also have to write and start doing it. I think that it's really important the personal opinion of your own art, which in this case is writing essays. So if you really felt that you gave 100% to this craft and to writing that essay, then you should be satisfied with the result, no matter if you win or if you lose, because everything is a learning experience in this field. I am really grateful that I had the chance to win this competition with this essay. However, it was not the first competition in which I participated, and I had to learn a lot from other people's essays, really well essays, so I can have then my own style and then just put it into the paper. For example, my own perspective is that I really like business, so I want to provide the reader a useful perspective of the topic that I am writing about. I hope this really helps you, and just let me know in the comments if you want me to address other points, other issues or questions that you may have about legal writing. I think it's really useful to learn from others because that's what I did, but you also have to learn from yourself. So start writing, and I hope you like this video and you found it useful.